Hey guys, what is up? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review, and today we're taking a look at my favourite figure of all time, a figure that I've just managed to grab. It's the Scooter Spider-Man from the Spider-Man 2 film made by ToyBiz. Previously on the channel, we have taken a look at my whole ToyBiz Spider-Man movie collection, did that all in one big video. We then took a closer look at the Hasbro and ToyBiz superposable Spider-Man figures and also the aerial flipping Spider-Man ToyBiz figure. I think it was in the aerial flipping Spider-Man video I was talking about how I picked that figure up, thinking that it was indeed the Scooter Spider-Man without the Tobey Maguire head sculpt. I talked about how I picked it up to try and make a custom to put a Tobey Maguire head sculpt on that figure, however then found out it was the aerial flipping Spider-Man, which we will take a look at and compare these figures later on in the video. But I think I went on to say how this was my ultimate figure, the figure that I've wanted in the whole time I've been collecting Marvel Legends and just figures in general. When I first saw this figure, I fell in love with it. The interchangeable Tobey Maguire head and just the sculpt in general is fantastic, and I think for that reason a lot of other collectors hold this figure at such high regard. This is a grail piece, and for that reason it is super rare and incredibly expensive. I've only seen 2 of these on eBay and the whole time I've been searching for them, which as I said has been around 2 years, 2.5 years. The first one sold for just under £300 and the second one was in America and it sold for £325, not including shipping, and those prices are crazy. I would never spend that amount of money on any figure. My price point's around £20, your kind of average Marvel Legends price. I'll probably pay around 30 for a NECA figure. So for that reason, I honestly thought I was never going to get this guy. I was never going to be able to fork out that amount of money, and I was never going to get my hands on him just because of how rare he is in general. And then the other day, I was scrolling through eBay, as I do, trying to find new Raimi figures, and he popped up. He popped up on an auction 9 days, so it must have literally just been posted, and there was also an option to make an offer. Long story short, guys, I offered £20, 20 British pounds, and the seller accepted. I don't know if he knew how much these figures sold for. I don't know if he thought because it was loose and it didn't have the original accessories it wasn't worth anything, if he was even a collector himself. I really don't know. Maybe he just didn't really care, but it sold to me for £20 and I'm ecstatic. I'm over the moon. I was honestly speechless and I was freaking out. And here he is. He's just arrived. I've opened him up just this second and I couldn't wait. I needed to make a video on him and just take a further look at this guy because I'm so happy I've finally got my all-time most sought after figure. So here we have Spider-Man with the Tobey Maguire / Peter Parker head sculpt on, and we'll swap those heads over later and take a look at what that's like. And I think this Tobey Maguire head sculpt looks great. Of course, it's nothing compared to the brand new Fox Marvel Legends figures we've been getting with the likes of Wolverine, Magneto and things, where those head sculpts are generally picture perfect and there's no doubt of who they are. They look so realistic, but for a figure that's 20 years old, I think this looks fantastic. This looks just like Tobey Maguire, just like Peter Parker in those films, and I'm so happy with it. It looks great. We will compare it to the Peter Parker figure from Spider-Man 1, just get those head sculpts compared, but for the rest of the figure, the sculpt's great. It's nice and it's not as like bulky as other Spider-Man figures we've gotten in this line. And for a figure so old, the paint's held up so well. The silver linings on this body here and that logo it looks brand new. It looks so good, and a lot of these figures, the silver webbing and things fade a lot, and I think they've held up really well with this figure. I'm so happy with it, especially for the price that I paid. And I love the back logo of this suit. In those Raimi films, this suit, the back logo is amazing. I've always liked that. It's got some paint chipping on the head here, but As I said, for the age of this figure, it is to be expected, and it isn't really bad at all. And here we have the Peter Parker figure from Spider-Man 1, and as you can see, the way he's sculpted, his stance, he's a lot smaller than this figure here. He is still the 6-inch scale, but it doesn't really translate well when we're looking at these other Spider-Man figures. The head sculpt though is still spot on. I mean, it's fantastic, and I think this looks really like Tobey Maguire, but I feel like it still looks very different to this head sculpt here. I don't know what one I prefer, and I think I do prefer the Spider-Man 1 head sculpt. I'm still happy with this one, but I just feel like this one looks more like Tobey Maguire to this head sculpt here. They still do have that resemblance, but I think what I'm saying is the best option would be this head sculpt as an interchangeable head for this figure. Still happy with both though. And here we have the aerial flipping Spider-Man figure from Spider-Man 2. We previously looked at this around a week ago on the channel, and I wasn't sure if this was my new favourite Spider-Man figure. I talked about how I really liked the kind of slenderness of the sculpt. It wasn't as bulky as the others, and this is the same with this figure here. The sculpt is really similar. I do prefer the hands on this one. You can get them in the thwipping pose, and the arms just look a lot shorter and more kind of natural. And of course we get the Tobey Maguire head sculpt with this one, which is just a massive plus. So for that reason I do prefer this figure. This is still an amazing figure, however. And here we have my previous favourite Spider-Man ToyBiz figure. I'm sorry guys, I can't remember the name for him. We have looked at him quite a bit in these videos though. And this figure, along with the aerial flipping Spider-Man, this scooter Spider-Man is just the perfect mashup of both. If I was to rank my favourites now, it would be the scooter Spider-Man, this guy, and then the aerial flipping figure. Okay guys, I'm just going to level with yous. I cannot get this Spider-Man head sculpt on. The ball joint just seems to be way too big to get it on, and with the age of this figure, I really don't want to force it. It's a fantastic head sculpt though. I mean, look at the paint on this. This is the best painted head sculpt for these ToyBiz Spider-Man figures I've ever seen. It is so clean. There's not really any paint application issues, and for the age of this figure, it's held up so well. So I'm just going to leave it in mint condition. I don't want to try and force it onto this joint because if I'm being honest, it does seem a bit flimsy, a bit weak. It's moving all over the place when I'm trying to get it on, and I don't want to damage this figure. So I'm just going to shove the Peter Parker head sculpt on, and we can run over the articulation on this guy. Peter Parker head on, nice and easy, and he can look up real far. That is great. You're going to be able to get him in some great Spider-Man poses when you can look up that far. You can look that far down, which is just a fantastic range of motion. Get him looking right round sideways, and you can rotate that head right round as well. So I'm really happy with that head movement. With the arms, you've got these kind of strange joints again. We've seen this before on the aerial flipping Spider-Man. Sort of like a butterfly joint, right? I'm not too sure, but get his arm moving right the way up, like so. Get moving in about that far to the body. So I actually quite like that. With these bulkier Spider-Man figures, like the superposable ones, you can't really get the arms in too much. So I think this looks great with this sculpt here in this figure. You've got the bicep swivel here. You've got a double jointed elbow. You can get his hand in about that much, and you can move him backwards and forwards at the wrist. And you've also got that middle finger articulation to get the rock on thwipping pose there. So awesome articulation. You can also move him around kind of at this wrist point. Just the same articulation in this arm and hand, of course. He's also got this upper ab crunch, so you can get him moving forward about that far, and you can get him moving backwards about that much. So not too bad. I wish he could maybe move backwards a wee bit further to get him truly dodging those goblin bombs. You can rotate him at the waist, like so. He's got these kind of ball joints at the hip, so you can get his leg kicking out about that far. Obviously move it back in, kicking forward about that much, so get a nice big Spidey kick there, and it'll kick backwards about that much. Got double jointed knees, so you can get his foot moving right back to his butt, can move it at the upper calf area, get his feet moving backwards and forwards, not really any ankle pivot, and you've also got toe articulation. And there we have it for this video, guys. This has been the Scooter Spider-Man from ToyBiz from the Spider-Man 2 movie, and I think it is the best Spider-Man figure you can get, or the best Spider-Man movie figure you can get. The articulation's great, got such a great range of movement, and the sculpt is just top notch. It really takes the best elements from my previous favourite Spider-Man movie figures and just mashes it into one. And of course, the thing that just tops it all off is the Tobey Maguire head sculpt. It's just fantastic. It's the most you can ask for from a Spider-Man movie figure. Of course, I've had my problems trying to get this head sculpt on, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's impossible. I think if I really wanted to, I could get that head on. It's just a matter of forcing it, and do I really want to force it after waiting to get this figure for such a long time and risk maybe breaking that ball joint for the heads? The answer is no, I don't want to risk it. I really don't. With that being said, guys, I think it is overall a fantastic figure. I don't think it's worth the huge prices of £300 that people are asking for. And of course he fell. He's fallen so many times during this video, guys. I've had to keep picking him up and reposing him, so I've just decided to sit him down. But yeah, he has got a bit of loose articulation at the feet area, unfortunately, but that is just because of how old this figure is. And of course he had to fall over on me, but I've just sat him down for the end of the video here. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that like button and also smash that subscribe button as well for future videos on figures and collectibles such as this one here. I'll also leave the link to my Instagram down in the description below, where I post pictures of my collection pretty much every day, and I'll definitely have some pictures up of this, guys. So if you want to hop on over there and check that out, feel free. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip-flop later. Cheers.